It's Monday, which is a weird day for us to be streaming, but here we are. Keith and I are back with a fun thing that we're going to try out, and it is Marvel Monday. We all need something to look forward to on a Monday because Mondays are the worst. So, what Teets and I decided to do is Teets is currently going through a chronological order rewatch, or in some cases, the very first watch of all the movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I did this late last fall, and it was really awesome. It gave me a newfound appreciation for literally every movie except for probably The Incredible Hulk. But I think, especially when we get down to Age of Ultron and Winter Soldier and stuff like that, it's going to start making WandaVision make even more sense and be even more powerful for teens. Now, spoiler alert, I've only watched the first 2 episodes of WandaVision, and I decided to hold off and just watch them all once the entire season came out. So I'm probably, once the last episode is this week.
Yep.
Okay. So unless there's some surprises, and Reddit thinks there may be some surprises or a special episode or something, give me 2 weeks, and maybe we can do WandaVision talk 2 weeks from today. Why can't we do it on Monday? I'm sure I can watch all of WandaVision by then, but I also just ordered a costume for next Monday, so I want to go ahead and put that bad boy on, because next week we'll be talking about Captain Marvel, but this week we are going to be talking about Captain America, the First Avenger, or as you may have seen me called on Twitter, the origin story of America's ass. So first, we're going to just talk a little bit of just general Marvel. So, Teets, have you seen all of the movies?
All of them except the second Spider-Man. So Spider-Man Homecoming I have not seen.
And are you including the animated Spider-Man movie in that listing?
No, because I haven't watched that either. I don't consider that necessarily part of the whole MCU rewatch type thing.
So what is your favorite or top 3? Because I want to see if this changes any of your opinions of Marvel going forward. When I watched it, I'll give you time to think. I can go through my top 3 movies really, really quick. Number 1 is Black Panther. Number 2 is Captain Marvel. And number 3 is Endgame. And I'd be lying to you if I don't watch like the last 45 minutes of Endgame at least once a week, because when Falcon flies over and is like, Captain on your left, and then all the amazingness happens, gets me every time. So those are my top 3. My favorite character is obviously T'Challa, because I just love the Black Panther. I've got all the books. I've read all the graphic novels. I'm really excited, though I missed Chadwick Boseman. I'm really excited to see where they go with Black Panther 2. I know nothing is going to change my opinion of these since I have done the rewatch. So, and I will say my least favorite character is Tony Stark. I hate Iron Man. Like, punch him in the face, hate him. Not a fan. So, Teets, your top 3 movies.
Well, going right off of that, my favorite character is Iron Man. So
Of course.
I would say Iron Man, the original Iron Man, is probably in my top 3. That's kind of the movie that got me into Marvel. I didn't really know anything about Marvel until that movie came out. So that was really where I got that started. It's hard because it's like the newer movies are more fresh in my mind than some of the older ones. So I do think maybe my list would change as we go on. I think Infinity War is probably up there for me. And then I'd probably Captain America's Civil War might be round out my top 3.
And your least favorite character?
Probably Ant-Man. I don't hate him, but I don't know. He's not my favorite. He's just kind of eh.
Well, I'm excited to see how this changes your opinion of Ant-Man. So, thanks to Disney Plus, we have all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in one place available for us to watch. If you guys are missing some, there are some available on, say, Amazon Prime, etc. As we start going down the list, Teets and I have talked about we do have an opportunity for exclusively for our followers on Twitch down the line that maybe we can do a group watch of one of the movies that are available on Amazon Prime. So if you guys are watching us on Twitch, hit that purple follow button to make sure you're included in any of these watches. And for those of y'all who are watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. As we've proven in the last 24 hours, you never know when Teets and I are just gonna pop up and go live. We probably need to find another hobby, but this is our hobby for right now. So, like I said, we are doing a chronological watch. So, thanks to our friends over on the Marvel Studios subreddit on reddit.com, they compiled a pretty great list that puts all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies in order by when the events in them actually occurred, not in filming or release date. So I'll just kind of go through to give you an idea. We're starting with Captain America, then Captain Marvel, then 2 Iron Mans in a row, Iron Man 1 and Iron Man 2, The Incredible Hulk, Thor, The Avengers, Iron Man 3, Thor Dark World, Captain America Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Avengers Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, Captain America Civil War, Spider-Man Homecoming, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, which is also receiving votes in my... Yeah, I guess it really just depends what I'm feeling that day. It's a top 3 consideration movie. Avengers Infinity War, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Avengers Endgame, and then Spider-Man Far From Home. And there's a chance at some point during this process, maybe we get Black Widow. I don't know. We'll see how long this takes us. So if Black Widow does come out, we'll kind of slot it in there. But our plan is to hopefully try and review one of these movies, or kind of come on and discuss one of these movies a week. And we'll just see where it goes. Next week, we may have a special guest with us because, as I discovered today, Angela has seen 2 Marvel movies, and one of them is Captain Marvel. So if you're wondering why the idea to wear a costume came up, it's because I was on the phone with Angela this afternoon. So anyway, with that said, let's get into it. Captain America. It was filmed in 2000, or released in 2011. But technically, it starts in 1943 with Steve Rogers, who was not yet America's ass. Teets, take it away.
Yeah, so this is obviously Captain America's origin story. It's the first of 3 Captain America films. So they start out basically in World War II era, right? World War II era. And they start out with finding the Tesseract, Hydra forces, that would be, which will be a big part of the whole Marvel cinematic universe. And then we meet Steve Rogers, who is a scrawny little white kid from New York who is trying to join the military and keeps getting rejected because he's a small little scrawny white kid that can't really do anything.
Did you feel any kind of camaraderie with Steve Rogers?
Maybe some. I can be persistent, and I'm also small, so there's some similarities there. But so then we also meet early on Steve Rogers' friend Bucky Barnes, who is in the military because he's not a little scrawny kid. But they who Bucky Barnes will also become a big part of the MCU going forward. They go to a Stark Expo, and that's where we meet Howard Stark, who is Tony Stark's father, Iron Man. And that's the whole, of course, Stark Industries, and that will become a big part as we go forward as well. So this is really a big movie for setting up the future of the MCU, even though it is the 5th film they released overall after they started this. But really, there's just a lot of origins and how they really get things going for the films going forward.
And so this is why I think the chronological rewatch, it makes things make so much more sense. I know I kind of hinted on Age of Ultron and earlier, and like with WandaVision and stuff. When I saw Age of Ultron when it came out, it made I just wasn't interested in it at all. And then I went back to watch it after I watched Infinity War and Endgame because I felt like I had so many questions to ask and I needed different, elements filled in. And so I went back into that. Even that didn't really answer all the questions. It's just so great how all of these Marvel movies and how they've been put together. And when you watch it in this order, the origin story is the first time the Avengers all come together. It all makes perfect sense because now you realize back at different points when they actually cross paths, especially, meeting Iron Man's dad and seeing how that all plays out. So that's one of the really fun things that I'm sure we'll keep pointing out as we go forward. If you're going to do a Marvel rewatch, to do it in chronological order because it really just fits in. It makes just one perfect start to end story that even with Spider-Man, the most recent Spider-Man, we see can even keep continuing after Endgame.
Yeah, so obviously then with Howard Stark and a German doctor, I don't even really know how to pronounce it, but it's Erskine or something like that. They basically had some tech and some stuff that they were developing with the U.S. government, and the German doctor picked out Steve Rogers as their test subject, basically. And Steve Rogers goes into this chamber and comes out a completely different person, a ginormous, muscular, beefy guy that looks nothing like he did before.
And so, just to go back to that a little bit, is Rogers isn't really sure why they picked him. He's not completely sold on the idea. He thinks that something's up, and they kind of play into because he tries really hard and he wants to be the best. He also wants to be a really good guy, and they really play into that kind of ego stroke a little bit for tiny old Steve by saying him committing an act of self-sacrificing bravery is the reason why they select him for this project. And after that, he's all in. Mm-hmm. Who doesn't like a good little ego stroke to get you there?
And then in that process, there is a Hydra agent that is in the crowd watching this experiment go down, which obviously they don't know at the time that he is a Hydra agent. And that's really where we see Captain America's first action after coming out of the chamber and being his new self. The agent steals the serum or whatever and runs off with it. And Captain America chases him down, gets to him, but obviously then the Hydra agent kills himself as a sacrifice for Hydra. That's what Hydra agents do. And then basically Captain America becomes kind of a military puppet. He goes out and he's doing road shows and different kinds of propaganda for the war and isn't really in action where he would like to be. So that
it's like just lots of just USO work. He's out there as essentially just a mascot for the war efforts of the United States, to raise money and using his image just to make people comfortable with the situation with the war that's going on, and I get his side of it. I didn't have to go in this chamber just to go and do a photo shoot, but so yeah, and that's where he becomes branded Captain America.
Yep. And then kind of bits and pieces throughout the first half, we see the Hydra story too involved in this, and we get that they're basically developing some super weapons with the Tesseract power, and the Schmidt, the German officer who's leading Hydra, is not really a human, but he is working with another German doctor that they're obviously the villains of this film, and so they kind of cut between what Steve Rogers and Captain America is doing versus what Hydra's doing, and then towards the end we finally get to see Captain America and the American forces that Captain America brings together, and Hydra go at it. I don't know what. Let's see my notes here. I don't know. Is there any? I mean, obviously, I don't know how far, how deep we really want to go with our first movie here, but.
Well, so we see, obviously we see now Captain America is reunited with Bucky in a fighting capacity, no longer as just a sheer mascot.
Yeah. And Bucky was being held by Hydra. They were holding him kind of unconscious at the time.
Yeah, because our good pal Steve was afraid that Bucky was dead, but refused to believe it, despite him being told that. So he's able to sneak into the main factory, freeze most of the soldiers that Hydra has captured, like Bucky. And it's a lot of. So you mentioned Schmidt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's trying to go after the Tesseract, because he wants the Tesseract operated technology to go to Nazis.
Yep.
So, even in Marvel, Nazis are bad guys. We're not going to let that happen. Do you talk about Peggy?
That's where I was going to go next.
Okay.
What we haven't brought up yet is Peggy Carter, or Agent Carter, who is part of the U.S. military and all this, and that's kind of Steve Rogers' love interest, and that buds from when he first joined the military and kind of found her, and they kind of it was slow at first, I'd say, but they kind of really, I think maybe I think really when they you could kind of see their love interest take off is when Peggy came up to him after he was leaving the chamber from the experiment or whatever to make him Captain America. And then obviously later on there was a scene where Peggy kind of, one of the, I don't know if she was like a secretary or something in the office, kissed Captain America or Steve Rogers, and you could see Peggy was jealous of that. And so there's just the whole movie, there's just, their love interest kind of blossoms and grows.
Yeah, and then, they leave the cliffhanger with that. We'll see, unless you want to talk through all, like, the Valkyrie and all the fighting and stuff like that.
We can. Obviously, that's basically the end of the movie, is when they the big battle scene, I guess, is where they are on the Valkyrie, and it's a Hydra aircraft, and they're basically going to Schmidt was going to bomb New York City, but Steve Rogers stops that, and he crashes into a glacier before they get to New York. And throughout that whole scene, Peggy is on the radio with Steve as he's going down.
Yeah. So, and he promises take her dancing, like really knowing that, as he's crashing, he probably won't. So this is an important note. Make note of this. He promises to take Peggy dancing, even though he knows that he's about to crash into like the Arctic, and this is probably all over for him. But and then he wakes up in a hospital room, but it's present day, and Nick Fury will also be important, is there to tell him that it's 2011 again, and he's just been asleep in the ice for 70 years. And all that Steve can respond is, but I had a date. So that's kind of the long and short of it. We missed the part. So basically how his super tight outfit and the shield, his iconic shield,
Yep.
were created by Howard Stark, Tony Stark's dad. Another note to make for in your rewatch that will come up frequently is this circular shield is made of vibranium. And 2/3 of the way through the Marvel Cinematic Universe rewatch, we'll find out why vibranium is important and where it comes from. And we'll also find out that this isn't the act of bravery and just generally being a good guy and striving to be a good guy actually has superpowers in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We won't find that out until towards the end. But I think that was just one of the other really kind of cool things that you get to see, just how all of these iconic tools and suits that these guys have, how they come about. And in this case, it was Stark Industries that created the uniform and the weaponry for Captain America. So what were your general thoughts now that you've rewatched it?
Well, before we get to that, I just wanted to mention, obviously, if you're not a Marvel person, you may not know that definitely, as always, through all the films, stay through the credits. There's always a credit scene. There is one in this one. This one isn't so much it's more of a trailer for a future film than it is anything else. Some of them are just kind of funny. Some of them are tie into the story more. Everyone's a little bit different. So just make sure you stay through the credits and watch the end credit scene.
Oh, you know what? We should make our list. I already think I know what my favorite post-credit reveal was. And it's funny because it features Captain America, but I think it's got to be Infinity War.
Yeah. I'll probably decide. I'll figure mine out through this rewatch. I can't pick mine right now.
I know I'm dealing from. This is a stacked deck in my favor because I've already gone through this whole process before. So, was there anything new that you learned or you took away from this movie, having seen Infinity War, Endgame, most of the movies, now that you're rewatching it from kind of, if you're thinking about it, where the whole universe for the Avengers began?
Yeah, it's probably I couldn't tell you the last time I watched it, so it's got to be probably like when it came out. Don't think I've really watched it since, so 10 years ago now. So obviously there was a lot that I kind of forgot about this movie. I think I don't know. It's hard to. I don't know. It's hard to really say if. I know, like the shield and him becoming Captain America was obviously very familiar. Maybe not so much the Hydra stuff. I think that was more something I forgot, and that was a big refresh. That kind of, you're like, you get that moment, like now this, I remember, now I know why this sets up later on and that kind of stuff. I don't know.
Well, it also features a lot of characters that we're going to see again, and we may not realize after just watching this how important they are. You obviously Nick Fury is important, and basically the entire Hydra organization.
Mm-hmm.
Bucky Barnes becomes incredibly important. So remember Bucky. I'm trying to think. Anyone? Well, the Peggy story is sad, especially when you go back and you learn more as we are going forward about S.H.I.E.L.D. and everything that Peggy is involved in.
And she does get her own show eventually, in the process.
Yes.
And then the Stark family obviously is a big part of the whole thing too.
I guess. The worst thing that Iron Man gave us was pepper pots. That is a hill I will die on happily. Kill me with a exploding vagina candle on this I hate pepper pots hill. Just straight away, she is the worst. She ruins Endgame. She's the one thing. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the last 45 minutes of Endgame and I'm going to edit her out. Until, well, at least the flying in with all the girls. I'm going to edit her out. Just cut that 2 seconds. It's going to be a weird splice, but it's going to work. Because all the females, which we'll start seeing next week when we talk about Captain Marvel, show back up in Endgame, as does stupid Pepper Potts. What else? So Nick Fury. We talked about Nick Fury. Well, Nick's role is. This is a good introduction to him because he becomes incredibly important in the entire Marvel universe. And I think when I first watched this movie when it came out, I underestimated how important that would be because right around this time was when I started getting into the Marvel movies and the comic books and stuff. And so I would read just purely the Avengers stuff, but never really focus on a whole lot of the individual characters. I saw the first Avengers movie in the theater, and then everything was cruising, but that terrible Incredible Hulk movie, if Disney wants to remake something, I feel like they should just go ahead and do that with Mark Ruffalo and just completely scrub the Edward Norton one from the face of the planet.
I would be okay with that.
Because it's really, really bad. So, how would you, on a scale of 1 star to 5 stars, how would you rate Captain America? We'll come back and talk about it a little bit more, but we'll go into talking more Marvel stuff.
Are we allowed to do like halves in this?
Yeah. Okay. You can do quarters if you want to. Oh. I guess I'm going to write it down, but yeah, you're going to have.
I'm going to say.
You can do 1/8 of a star if you want to.
I'm going to say 3.5. It is an origin story. It's not my favorite Captain America film, but it's got the start, and it's where we meet him for the first time, really.
Yeah, a 3.5. I think a 3.5 is solid. It gets a little clunky and a little too much fighting, the whole thing with the Valkyrie and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, at some point it feels like a little bit too much chase movie, but I think at the heart of it, all Marvel movies tend to fall into a little bit of that caper chase kind of thing. It's just how they're naturally made. It's not as bad as like the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which are just all capers and chases. We should do that next after we do Marvel is the Pirates movies. But I just love revisiting what started it all, and then you really just truly see at the root of it and what becomes so true at the end of Endgame. So when this whole process is over with, just how important Captain America is, and that even though he got in the chamber and got all the treatment, became this like superhuman guy. Which I will say, I now know how he feels after I had my second COVID injection because I literally felt like every cell in my body. And it's like, I think I told Teetsis, I'm like, I feel like I'm an Avenger, but I didn't go try and like flip a car or anything like that. Maybe I should have tried. Instead, I just took a nap. But, so I know what he felt like when that happened. But you just see how he is just truly the good, honest heart of the Avengers and of the Marvel universe. And it's his pursuit of good is always going, protecting people and saving lives and doing the right thing is always going to be the first thing on his mind. And that obviously becomes true in Civil War. Um, protecting the people he loves, protecting the things he holds dear, and just being a general good guy. And that's why scrawny Steve Rogers got to become Captain America, which is, it's something that also in that time period, they really did need a mascot to get wars to drum up support for this war effort for World War II. So I appreciated some of the relevant historical elements to that too.
Yeah, and I'll mention too that obviously, as Marvel fans, one of our favorite things to find in Marvel movies is Stan Lee. He is a cameo in all Marvel movies. Now he's dead, so it's hard. We'll see what they do going forward if they Photoshop him in there or something. But he is obviously one of the founders of Marvel, and they in each Marvel movie, whether it may be in an end credit scene, it may be in a major scene, it may be in a small throwaway scene, but he'll be in there somewhere, and it's always fun to spot him.
And do you want a spoiler alert, or are you going to make people hunt this like a hidden Mickey?
I'll let people find it on their own.
All right. Mean. But okay, I'll allow it. Yeah, so it's Captain America. It's pretty, like, again, it's an origin story, and origin stories don't really add much to the universe other than the history of the character and how they came to be this Avenger. So, oh, sorry, I just had, oh, we've got Disneyland info coming in. So I enjoyed it. I want to know how they made Chris Evans so teeny to be skinny Steve Rogers. That's some real CGI magic, and I don't think it won an Oscar for that. But how to take him from being what Chris Evans is like normally like to being that little skinny guy that actually does look like Teets is pretty impressive.
I'm not that scrawny. I'm that short though.
You are that short. The head is that size.
And I think that if they made this movie today, it'd look even more realistic. You can tell because it's 2011. There's some things that it's not completely realistic. They did it for the time. It was definitely, they did a great job on doing that. But I think with how things have progressed and where they're in movies now, where they're taking people who are dead and putting them in and making them so realistic, that I think they could even do better now.
Oh, for sure. No question. No question. But I appreciate that you still look like him though. I think Chris Evans prefers to look like Chris Evans now versus Chris Evans then. I'm actually looking on Twitter. My favorite Twitter thread is Chris Evans as dogs. And I know there's a Captain America one in here, but I haven't found it. And I should have looked that up in advance. So, yeah, if you're on Twitter, which maybe you are because you found us from there, just search Chris Evans as dogs. It's a lot of golden retrievers labs, but there's a lot of dogs, and there is a really great one of him as Captain America. So, to tie it into theme parks, where can we meet Captain America in theme parks? If you want to see America's ass in person,
Well, in Florida,
get a socially distanced selfie with America's ass. And I will tell you, in Florida, because I asked, he did turn around.
in Florida, you can meet him at Universal. Now, I'd say the biggest difference, though, is this is more the comic book style Captain America, which all the Marvel characters in Universal are that style versus the more modern MCU movie style that we see, and you may find at Disneyland in California. They tend to have the more updated versions because Disney and Universal Marvel had a contract with Universal to have them in the Florida theme parks, and so when Disney bought Marvel, they couldn't put them in Walt Disney World, but they could put them in Disneyland. So that's why you see some differences there.
And so the costumes are different now. For sure, at Universal, he wears the mask.
Yep.
The colors are slightly different. I don't think I met him when I was at Disneyland. Does he wear the mask at Disneyland?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I'm going to look at that real quick. So what other Marvel characters can you only see at Universal on the East Coast?
I know. You can see. Let's see. Who was with him? Spider-Man is on the East Coast. There's a Spider-Man attraction on the East Coast. You can ride the Hulk, but you can't see the Hulk. They don't have a Hulk walk around. There's I believe Wolverine you can meet at Universal as well.
I saw him on stage with Captain America. That's when I asked Captain America to turn around so I could see his ass, and that's when Wolverine tried to claw at it, which would make better sense if it was Deadpool, but not an
Can
Avenger.
you meet Thor at Universal too?
No. Maybe. Let me look. I know you can meet Thor. So the only time I've tried to go and meet Marvel characters was at Disneyland because I dressed up like all of them. That's why I have a costume coming next week. Thor at Universal. I don't think so. I think it's really just you can meet.
I don't see him in the picture here that I'm looking at.
I don't either.
Wolverine, Spider-Man, Captain America.
Use Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so that's how you can meet. You can, if you want to take a picture with Captain America and you're headed out to an East Coast theme park. I know we talk a lot about Walt Disney World and Universal because they are the ones that are open. If you want to meet Captain America, you're going to have to head to Marvel Superhero Island at Universal Studios Islands of Adventure. I have to think about that one for a second. It's been a while since I've talked this much about Universal. It's crazy. I'm just used to talking about Disney. But like Teet said, there is not a Captain America ride or attraction at Universal. He's got a restaurant or like a little diner, but that's it. But you can see and meet him as part of the new Marvel campus in Disney's California Adventure, opening soon. So I know right now you can't, when Disneyland is open, the characters you can meet there that are exclusive to Disneyland. My girl Carol Danvers has her plane. T'Challa, the Black Panther, meets with his guard. Steve, as Captain America, does have kind of a setup on the backlot area. I think those are the only ones that you can meet exclusively there.
Black Widow's usually out.
Black Widow. Yeah, Natasha. and you can see Captain America and Natasha. You can see Captain America on Disney Cruise Line, which offers Marvel Day at Sea, which when we get out of this pandy, I cannot wait to go on a Marvel cruise. I'm not doing the Star Wars one, but I cannot wait to go on a Marvel Day at Sea cruise because that's a really cool way to meet all of the characters. They have them on the ship, and you can go take pictures and talk with them. And I know Captain America is one of them too. So, from watching Captain America, what are your thoughts on his overall importance to the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Other than being America's ass.
Well, I mean, he's really one of the. I mean, without Captain America, you don't have much of a Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's really, I think, and that's what we'll see in Civil War. Really, Captain America and Iron Man are your core Avengers that obviously they battle it out in Civil War that we'll see, but without those two, there really isn't an Avengers.
Yeah, and I didn't think about how hard it would be to talk about just one movie without, talking about everything else, like what he's involved in, and what happens in Endgame, and what brings him into Infinity War, and all of that. So I'm trying to avoid spoilers, just in the instance that maybe you haven't seen any of the later released Marvel movies. Maybe I'll wait until like 55, like our last 5 minutes will just be a hard talk about, oh my gosh, so this is why this happened. But because I've got like 3 things that that are probably, they feel like secrets right now, but I just have to share them. So just hold on for just a few more minutes and we'll talk about those. But so how do you feel about the casting? Do you like?
Well, I will say I learned this and I did a little bit more research after watching the movie last night, is it took 3 times before Chris Evans said yes to the role. He was not sold on it.
He's you know what? For those of you watching that are old and traditional like me, he's a rules girl. There's a book called The Rules, and it was you have to be asked out 3 times before you say yes.
And I also learned too that I forget, I'm blanking on the name now, but who played Bucky Barnes? He was
Sebastian Stan, also on Gossip Girl. He
was tapped to do the role, but got the Bucky Barnes role instead. So
I did make a note when I was writing down our scores. Bucky Barnes is one of the characters I want to revisit the most, especially after Civil War and Infinity Game. I mean, they might as well, if you just put them together into one 5-hour movie, Infinity War and Endgame are just basically wonky. But I'm really, really excited for what debuts on Disney Plus on the 19th, which is
Winter Soldier, or Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or whatever it's got. I don't remember the title of it.
So this is the other reason why, y'all, if I don't get straight into WandaVision, one of my favorite characters is Falcon. He's played by Anthony Mackie, who also lives here in New Orleans. So I see him around town all the time. So I'm a super fan. I'm really excited for that. But mostly because I think Bucky Barnes is one of the most fascinating characters from the comic books. And we get a lot of his story. He also had a little bit of his origin story in Captain America. He really was the buff, tough guy that was made for the service. Maybe could have been face of the service. All of this kind of thing. And, everything that he went through. I'm hoping we get to see a little bit more of that and more character development of Bucky Barnes in the new Marvel series on Disney Plus, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which debuts on March 19th on Disney Plus. I think it's going to be the same kind of weekly drop, just like WandaVision was, correct?
Yep,
And
Fridays.
is this one 10 episodes as well, or
9 or 10, something like that. I don't know. WandaVision's 9, so it might be 9 again.
oh no, I lost Deeds. Or maybe y'all lost me. But yeah, so you get to see a little bit of Bucky Barnes's origin story, and like I said, he becomes incredibly important. What?
It's only 6 episodes.
What?
Yeah.
So first they're gonna screw me on Black Widow, and then now I only get. Listen, I don't think I've talked about this much, but the most disappointing thing of my point of my pandemic was when I wasn't gonna get Black Widow. Listen, I've even said, like, I've sat down and I've crunched the numbers. Just give it. I'll pay $100 to watch it at my house right now. Okay, actually, that's a little much. I'd pay $75 for sure because I usually go to. Well, if I'm in Texas, I go to Movie Tavern, so I'm getting beers and food. So by the time I pay for my ticket and all of that, I'm at $75. Here in New Orleans, I go to this old theater that still has, like, it's only one screen. It's basically like a theater, like like back when movie theaters came out. It's one room. The seats are like worse than the folding seats, or like the seats at your high school auditorium. But you know what? It's BYOB. So when I saw it, I'll tie it all back into Marvel. I saw Endgame at Britannia Theater, and I knew it was going to be sad, and I knew it was going to be long. And I'm like, put my little cooler together. I'm like, do I need 2 cans of wine? Do I need 3? Well, maybe I'll just take 4 just to be safe. It is 3.5 hours long. And of course, I think I told Teets as soon as I sat down and the movie started, like immediately crying, like bawling, crying. And the person I was with is like, it just started. You haven't even opened a can of wine yet. I'm like, got a lot of feelings. I'm very attached to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which in 7 minutes I'll reveal spoilers about that you need to watch, or you need to take note of to watch from Captain America for the rest of the series. So to preview, next week we are going to talk about Captain Marvel, which is one of the newer releases. It features a badass woman, Carol Danvers. Spoiler alert, was also filmed here in New Orleans. Yeah, if you guys don't like New Orleans or don't like New Orleans tips or, that kind of stuff, you may want to just start muting me when I start talking about this kind of thing. But
Or when you start talking at all.
you gonna carry this for the rest of the time then?
Well, I'm not wrong, so.
All right then. Well, this is the last Marvel Monday ever. I can't wait to see what Teets does on Wind Down Wednesday. Yeah, I've got to edit video because I know what our new trailer on the YouTube channel is now. Anyway, I don't even know what I was talking about because you just shook me to my core. Anyway, if you enjoy content like this, just go ahead and hit the purple follow button on Twitch. If you're watching us on YouTube, just go hit the subscribe and the bell for notifications so you'll never miss out on super amazing content like this. I know you're just waiting with bated breath for the next time we go live. So you've like really thrown me totally off my game now. So things that become important. Fine, I'm just going to go ahead and do it now. This is spoiler time. So if you haven't watched any of the Marvel movies and you're going into this as a purist, this is when you click off. We'll see you next week. Things that I appreciated from this movie is, like I said, the origin story of Bucky Barnes, the importance of vibranium, which will come to a head again in Civil War, and we'll see the real story behind it too in Black Panther. We will see Peggy again, and this, for all you hopeless romantics, know that this storyline has an ending, and it is so sweet it will give you a toothache. It's basically the closing pre-credits moment. My favorite post-credits moment involves Captain America, or by then he's back to going by just Steve Rogers, is at the end of Infinity War. And you see him kind of like emerge out of the shadows, ready to mend fences because Tony Stark fucked everything up. Because Tony Stark is bad and Steve Rogers is good. But the best part is we start to see it. I can't remember. But Thor thinks that Captain America has the power to call weapons. And it's ultimately if you are good and true is why you're able to summon these weapons. And we see it in game when Captain America is able to summon Thor's hammer, and Thor's like, I knew it. That he was good and true and able to call these weapons. That's probably another highlight and why I like the last 40 minutes of Endgame so much. Also, because Iron Man dies. And that means I never have to see Pepper Potts again. Ever. But yeah. Spoiler alert. Iron Man dies. It's been long enough. Also, I did a spoiler. I said to tune out. Did I miss anything else?
Not that I know of.
Is Captain America getting a ride at Disneyland?
No.
So it's the Spider-Man swing around.
Well, I should clarify. That's if the Avengers ride happens or not at Disneyland.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean the campus?
Well, because Phase 2 is the big e-ticket Avengers attraction, so Captain America would be in that, but that's if it happens.
So is the campus basically just going to be like Launch Bay where they just...
Well, you'll have Spider-Man web slingers.
Oh.
So we'll have a ride, and Guardians will be tied to it. So you'll have technically 2 rides as part of the land.
Hot take? Mission Breakout? Better than Tower of Terror. I said it.
I don't like Tower of Terror, so I'm not going to comment.
You liked Hulk. How do you not like Tower of Terror?
The up and down. I just...
Do that again? Okay. Now I know what our second trailer is going to be on the YouTube channel. That's at 5525. Got it. So, and when can we expect Marvel Campus and the Spider-Man ride at Disneyland to open? Possibly when the parks open?
Well, it's done. It's ready to go.
Well, so is Ratatouille and what's happening.
Well, at least Disneyland has the excuse that they're not open yet.
So true. So yeah, so that was Captain America. We will refine this for next week and try and figure out a better structure because all I want to talk about is like, oh my gosh, this is why this makes so much more sense. But so next week is going to be Captain Marvel. We're going to have Angela join us because she just watched Captain Marvel. And the only other movie I think she's seen is like Ant-Man or something like that. So this should be really exciting. You'll get a lot of interesting feedback on the movie. I love it because it's about time they started highlighting some of these really awesome women in the Marvel universe. Just give me Black Widow. I mean, again, spoiler alert, she died for us, you guys. The Black Widow died to save us. I love that they basically did Wanda, the Scarlet Witch's kind of backstory as a series, and I'm hoping that they'll take more of.
Well, I don't think I'd call it a backstory, though. I mean, you do get some backstory in it, but I don't think it's a backstory.
It's not an origin story.
No.
But
it's because it takes the show takes place. I think it's like 4 or 5 weeks after the events of Endgame.
And that's why I struggle with it, because it's so sad. Anyway, we'll do WandaVision talk after I finally watch it. Probably in 2 weeks. Oh, Angela's watching WandaVision too. She doesn't understand it, but she's watching it. So we've got that going for us. So again, I will post on our Instagram page the order in which we're watching the movies. And if we get enough followers on Twitch, we're going to be able to show one of the Iron Mans, the OG Avengers, or Incredible Hulk as a group watch for our followers. So if you want to suffer through Incredible Hulk with all of your favorite people on Twitch, hit that purple follow button. For our YouTube friends, we're going to come up with something really cool for you guys as it relates to Marvel. So be sure to hit subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. For programming this week, Courtney and I are back on Wednesday for a Wind Down Wednesday. It's still Lent, so we're going to have more mocktails, and we are going to talk about. We haven't decided yet. We'll see what's going on in the state of play. Maybe we'll have a Ratatouille announcement. Maybe we'll have planning stuff to talk about. But we'll be back just doing our normal hangout. I will have a special Make It, Don't Fake It from one of y'all's favorite restaurants at Walt Disney World to show you. So be tuned in for that. And then you never know. Again, this is why you've got to follow and subscribe. You never know when a happiest hour is just going to kind of pop up. But we've got that. And then we'll be back full crew on Sunday for our traditional Sunday Fun Day. And I've been working on a game show. So come watch the Crescent Lake Club members play Fun Wheel of Fortune. Or actually, I think it's called Pal Around of Fortune. But we'll just go with that. And we'll be posting on our Instagram how people who watch can win a prize pack from the Crescent Lake Club. So stay tuned for that. Titi, you got anything else?
No, I think that is it.
You gonna stream solo this week, Teets?
Not planning on it.
What's your running schedule? When is your training video for this week coming out? You want to hype
Tomorrow. Tomorrow. It comes out tomorrow. If you are watching this on my YouTube channel, I will have a training update video tomorrow. Shorter one this week, but yeah, nothing. I don't think. Yeah, so I think I'm sticking to Tuesdays on those releases.
So yeah, we're almost at a full week of content, you guys. So we'll see what schedules look like. I'm sure we'll get a happiest hour pop up on Thursday or Friday at some point this week. We'll just see how things break out. But don't forget, we have a website, crescentlakeclub.com. We've got a really great blog that is just chock full of news and fun reviews. TT and I on Saturday, in case you missed it from our happiest hour last night, we did our top 3, bottom 3 Magic Kingdom attractions. So there may be some controversy in on that one. We've got if you're looking to travel to Disney with kids, Courtney just came back from traveling and her family unit was an infant and a 5-year-old, and in their total traveling party also featured a 3 and a 4-year-old. And she's got some really, really awesome tips and things to keep in mind if you're planning a trip to Disney right now, as things are loosening up and vaccinations and everything in the pandemic. Things to just consider. We're going to be really Universal heavy this week, I think. I'm about to go finish writing a review of Cabana Bay Resort, and we've got Foodie Finds on Friday, and this week features a really popular exclusive item for Flower and Garden Festival. So check out crescentlakeclub.com. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and I guess Facebook.
Yep.
Teets did ask if we should start a Parler account. I told him no on that one for right now, but we'll see. So anyway, thanks you guys. We'll see you next week when we review and talk about Captain Marvel. Y'all have a good one.
Bye.